Yung papel na hawak ko parang sentensya na. Stage 3 ovarian cancer. Putek, habang naghihiwa ako ng bawang para sa paborito naming sinigang ni Marco, saka pa darating ang balitang to. Hindi ko alam kung matatawa ako o maiiyak sa timing ng universe. Nanginginig ang kamay ko habang tinititigan ang resulta galing sa maliit na klinik sa kanto. Kanina ko pa to nakuha, pero ngayon lang nagkaroon ng lakas ng loob buksan. Akala ko simpleng ovarian GVS lang, yun pala. Yun pala may taning na ang buhay ko. Napahawak ako sa dibdib ko. Ang sakit. Parang pinipiga. Paano si Basti? Paano ang anak namin? Ma, gutom na po ako, sigaw ng 8-year-old kong si Basti mula sa sala. Napapikit ako. Kailangan kong maging matatag. Para kay Basti. Pinunasan ko ang luhang namumuo sa mata ko at pilit na ngumiti. Okay, anak. Malapit na maluto tong sinigang. Saktong pag-upo namin sa hapag para kumain, dumating si Marco, ang asawa ko for 10 years. Amoy alak na naman. Ilang buwan na rin kaming ganito, parang roommates na lang na may obligasyon sa isa't isa. Yung dating tamis, napalitan na ng pait at panlalamig. Pero umasa pa rin ako na baka maayos pa. Marco, may sasabihin sana ako. I started, did the voice trembling slightly. This was it, sasabihin ko na. Baka ito na yung wake-up call para sa amin. Para sa pamilya namin. He didn't even look at me. Dire-diretso lang siyang sumandok ng kanin at sinigang. Ano yun? Kung tungkol na naman iyan sa gastusin, wala akong pera. Alam mo namang natanggal ako sa trabaho. Napalunok ako. Ang hirap. Hindi tungkol doon. Tungkol to sa akin. Basti looked between us, his innocent eyes wide. Mama, Papa, okay lang po ba kayo? I forced another smile for Basti. Okay lang kami, anak. Kumain ka na. Huminga ako ng malalim. Marco, may cancer ako. Napatigil siya sa pagsubo. For a split second, I saw a flicker of something in his eyes, shock. Concern? Pero nawala rin agad. He put down his spoon with a loud clank. Cancer? Seryoso ka? His voice was flat. Walang emosyon. Tumango ako, luha na ang nagbabadyang tumulo. Stage 3 T. He stared at me, then he chuckled. It's dry, humorless sound. Wow. Just wow, Marisol. Ang galing mo ring mag-timing, no? Kung kailan bagsak na bagsak ako, saka ka pa magdadrama ng ganyan. Nanlaki ang mata ko. Drama? Marco, sakit to. Hindi ito drama. Talaga? O baka naman paraan mo lang to para makuha ulit atensyon ko? Para ma-pressure akong maghanap ng trabaho agad? Hindi ako makapaniwala sa naririnig ko. Marco, ano bang sinasabi mo? Mama. Papa. Wag po kayong mag-away, Basti whispered, on the verge of tears. Marco stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Alam mo, sawang-sawa na ako, Maricel. Sawang-sawa na ako sa'yo, sa buhay na to, hindi ko na kaya. Anong ibig mong sabihin? In my heart was pounding, a new kind of fear gripping me. This wasn't just about the cancer anymore. He looked at me, his eyes cold as ice. Iiwan na kita. Iiwan ko na kayo. Parang bombang sumabog ang mga salita niya. Right there, in front of our son, over a bowl of sinigang that suddenly tasted like ash. Hindi. Marco, wag mong gawin to. May sakit ako, kailangan kita, he pleaded, tears finally streaming down my face. He just shook his head. Problema mo na yan. Masyado nang mabigat. Hindi ko na kayang pasanin pa pati yan. He turned and walked towards the door. Walang lingon-lingon. Papa. Basti cried out, tumakbo para habulin si Marco. Papa, wag mo kaming iwan. Pero huli na. Nakalabas na si Marco ng pinto. Narinig ko ang pagsara nito. Isang tunog na parang pumutok sa puso ko. Naiwan kami ni Basti. Naiwan akong may cancer. Naiwan akong wasak. Niyakap ko si Basti na humahagulgol na. Mama si Papa bakit? Wala akong maisagot. Pati ako, hindi ko maintindihan. All I could do was hold Vivi's son tight, trying to shield him from the pain that was already consuming me whole. Ang sakit. Doble-dobleng sakit. Yung sakit ng katawan ko dahil sa cancer, at yung sakit ng puso ko dahil sa pag-abandona. Sa gitna ng laban ko para sa buhay, iniwan ako ng taong inaasahan kong kasama ko dapat. Kinabukasan, I had to be strong. For Basti. I explained to him as gently as I could that Papa needed some time alone, that things were complicated. Hindi niya naintindihan, syempre. Sino ba namang bata ang makakaintindi noon? Ang alam lang niya, umalis ang papa niya. I contacted Vivi's sister, at Liza, who lived in the province. Umiyak ako sa kanya sa telepono. She was furious at Marco, of course. Sabi niya, pupunta siya agad dito sa Maynila. That gave me a sliver of comfort. At least, hindi ako completely nag-iisa. The next few days were a blur of doctor's appointments and tests. Pinilit kong maging okay sa harap ni Basti, pero paggabi na at tulog na siya, doon bumubuhos lahat ng luha ko. Nag-umpisa na rin yung mga side effects ng kung anong gamot na binibigay nila. Nagsusuka ako ng hihina. One afternoon, while waiting for my turn at the public hospital's oncology department, place teeming with faces etched with worry and pain, just like mine, bigla na lang akong nanghina. Nanlabo ang paningin ko. The last thing I remembered was the concerned face of a nurse before everything went black. Nagising ako sa isang puting kwarto. Hospital. May drip na nakakabit sa kamay ko. Gising ka na pala, ma'am. Isang nurse ang lumapit sa akin, umingiti. Nahimatay po kayo kanina sa waiting area. Medyo bumaba po ang blood pressure nyo. Pinilit kong umupo. Si Basti. Yung anak ko. Nasa labas po, kasama ng tita niya. Okay lang po siya. Maya-maya, pumasok si Ate Liza, kasama si Basti. Tumakbo agad si Basti sa akin. Mama! Okay ka na po? Okay na si Mama, anak, sabi ko, trying to sound reassuring, kahit na ang totoo, pakiramdam ko, pagod na ako. At Liza looked at me with so much concern. Mars, kailangan mo nang magpa-admit. Hindi mo na kaya to mag-isa sa bahay. Umiling ako. Ate, wala tayong pera pang admit. Alam mo naman, ako na ang bahala. Nagpadala si kuya mo ng pera. Ang importante, maalagaan ka. So, I was admitted. Sa charity ward. Masikip, maingay, pero at least, may mga doktor at nurse na nakamonitor sa akin. Si Ate Liza ang nagbabantay at si Basti, dinadala niya sa school tapos sinusundo. He'd spend afternoons by bedside, drawing or telling me about his day. He was Isvai sunshine, Jivay reason to keep fighting. Isang gabi, habang mahimbing na natutulog si Ate Liza sa foldable cot sa tabi ng kama ko, at si Basti naman ay nasa bahay ng isang pinsan namin, hindi ako makatulog. Ang daming iniisip. Ang sakit ng katawan ko, ang bigat ng dibdib ko. Then, the pain in the abdomen flared up, worse than usual. Napahawak ako, napapangiwi. Press the nurse call button. Maya-maya, may pumasok. Not a nurse. Isang doktor. Matangkad, mga late 30 siguro, gwapo in serious, almost intimidating way. Nakasalamin. He was holding the chart. Good evening, Imrak Sandoval, he said, his voice deep and calm. I'm Elias Montemayor. I'm one of the oncologists on duty tonight. How are you feeling? Masakit po, Dossie. Yung tiyan ko, I managed to say, wincing. He nodded, his eyes scanning the chart, then me. Para bang binabasa niya hindi lang yung medical history ko, kundi pati na rin yung kaluluwa ko. There was an intensity about him that was unsettling yet strangely reassuring. I see here you were diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. And you collapsed a few days ago due to hypotension and possible dehydration. Tumango lang ako. Ano pa bang masasabi ko? He asked a few more questions, checked the vitals, palpated the abdomen gently. His touch was surprisingly light, professional. We'll give you something for the pain, he said. But need to be honest with you, Dimrak Sandoval. Your case is quite advanced. The initial prognosis isn't very optimistic based on these records. Parang binuhusan ako ng malamig na tubig. Alam ko naman. Pero iba pa rin pag narinig mo directly mula sa doktor. Tears welled up in Evie's eyes again. May pag-asa pa po ba ako, Dulcie? I hated how weak the voice sounded. Montemayor looked at me and for a moment, his professional mask seemed to slip. I saw a hint of something compassion. It was gone as quickly as it appeared. There's always hope, Dimrak Sandoval. But it will be a tough fight. A very tough fight. He paused. I've reviewed your case thoroughly. Your previous oncologist has laid out a standard treatment plan. He looked at the chart again, then back at me. His gaze was piercing. However, based on some specific markers I'm seeing and considering your overall condition. He tapped his pen on the chart. Parang may malalim siyang iniisip. I'll be direct. Your previous doctor is transferring to another hospital. I'm officially taking over your case starting tomorrow. He adjusted his glasses. And I believe a more aggressive, perhaps slightly unconventional approach might be warranted. It's riskier, but it might also offer better chance. Natigilan ako. Aggressive. Unconventional. Riskier. Ano po yun, Doth? We'll discuss the details in the morning with your sister. For now, get some rest, see. He motioned for the nurse who had followed him in. Give her the prescribed analgesic. And monitor her closely. The nurse nodded. Yes, Doc. Montemayor looked at me one last time. Dimrak Sandoval, I won't sugarcoat things. This will be hard. But if you're willing to fight, I'll fight with you. Every step of the way. Then, he turned and walked out. Naiwan akong tulala. Sino tong doktor na to? Bakit parang may kung anong kuryente akong naramdaman sa mga sinabi niya? He was blunt, almost cold, but there was an underlying current of what? Determination. He said he would fight with me. Sa gitna ng lahat ng sakit, ng pag-abandona, ng takot for the first time in a long while, the teeny, flickering ember of something I hadn't felt in days sparked within me. Hindi ko alam kung ano, pero parang may nagbukas na maliit na bintana sa madilim kong kwarto. Elias Montemayor. His name echoed in my mind as the pain medication started to take effect, lulling me into restless sleep. Sino ka ba talaga, J. Montemayor? At bakit parang pakiramdam ko, may dalang kakaibang unos ang pagdating mo sa buhay ko? The next morning, true to his word, J. Elias Montemayor was there. Kasama si At Liza, we discussed the new treatment plan. Mas aggressive nga. More chemo drugs, different schedule, tapos may kasama pang targeted therapy na sobrang mahal. Nung una, gusto kong tumanggi. Saan kami kukuha ng pera? Pero si Ate Liza, mapilit. Ako na ang bahala, Mars. Gagawa natin ang paraan. Ang importante, gumaling ka. Montemayor just listened, his face unreadable. Parang bato. When Aunt Liza asked about the cost and if there were cheaper alternatives, he was very clinical. This is the best option can offer based on her specific condition, miss. The standard treatment has a lower success rate for her type of cancer at this stage. Yes, it's expensive. The hospital has some assistance programs, but they are limited. Walang kaemo-emosyon. Sa mga sumunod na araw, lalo kong naramdaman yung sinasabi kong coldness ni si Montemayor. He'd come for rounds, ask me the same questions. Any pain? Nausea? Dizziness? Titingnan yung chart ko, yung vital signs monitor, tapos aalis na. Minsan, may kasama siyang ibang mga doktor o medical students, parang exhibit lang ako. This is Dimrak Sandoval, 34 years old, stage 3T ovarian cancer, currently undergoing protocol natas, ganoon lang. Professional. Pero parang ang layo-layo niya. Parang hangin lang ako na dinaanan. Nasaan na yung sinabi niyang key I'll fight with you? Baka naman standard line lang yun ng mga doktor para gumaan ang loob ng pasyente. Kasi sa totoo lang, mas nararamdaman ko pa ang suporta at pagmamahal mula sa mga nurses na palaging nakangiti at handang makipagkwentuhan, o kay Ate Liza na hindi ako iniiwan. Ate, parang ang sungit naman ng doktor mo, sabi ko kay Ate Liza isang hapon, habang tinutulungan niya akong kumain ng lugaw. Wala akong ganang kumain. Side effect ng chemo. Sungit agad. Baka seryoso lang talaga sa trabaho, Mars. At saka, gwapo naman, she said, wiggling her eyebrows. Sinamaan ko siya ng tingin, pero natawa na rin ako ng bahagya. Kahit kailan talaga tong si ate. Gwapo nga, parang robot naman. Walang puso, sabi ko, half joking, half seryoso. Nako, baka naman may tinatagong softness yan. Abangan mo lang, she winked. Pero paano ako aasa sa softness di kung puro pader ang nakikita ko? Minsan, sinusubukan ko siyang itian pag pumapasok siya sa kwarto. Poker face pa rin. Sinusubukan kong mag-thank you with extra feeling. Tipid na tango lang ang sagot. There was this one time, I was feeling particularly down, the chemo was hitting me hard. Tears were just silently falling. He came in, saw me, and all he said was, "Are you experiencing any unusual emotional distress, Dimrak Sandoval? As can refer you to our psychiatrist." Napahiya ako. Pinunasan ko agad ang luha ko. Hindi po, Doth. Okay lang ako. Para akong tanga. Ano bang ini-expect ko? Comfort. From him? Asa pa. One afternoon, Ate Liza came back from buying some fruits sa labas ng hospital. May dala siyang chismis. Mars, alam mo ba? Narinig ko kanina sa may cashier, may meeting daw yung mga big boss ng hospital. Pinag-uusapan daw yung budget. Tapos, nabanggit daw yung kaso mo. Napakunot ang noo ko. Ako? Bakit naman? Kasi daw, yung treatment mo, sobrang mahal. May isa raw na board member na nag-suggest na baka mas practical daw kung ililipat ka sa standard treatment na lang, since charity case ka lang naman daw. Para makatipid ang hospital. Nanlamig ako. So, they were talking about giving up on me, just like that. Dahil lang sa pera. At Liza squeezed my hand. Pero, Mars, wait lang. May good news. Sabi nung isang nurse na nakarinig, may isang doktor daw na talagang tumayo para sa'yo. Pinaglaban daw niya na ituloy yung current treatment mo. Sabi daw niya, this patient deserves the best possible chance, regardless of her financial capacity. We are here to save lives, not to be solely driven by profit margins. Nanlaki ang mata ko. Sino daw, ate? Sinong doktor? Ate Liza grinned. Sino pa ba? Di si Iya, sangit mo. Si Iya Montemayor. Parang may kung anong mainit na kumalat sa dibdib ko. Si Iya Montemayor. Ginawa niya iyon? For me? Pero bakit hindi niya sinabi sa akin? Ewan ko dun. Baka ayaw lang magyabang. O baka part lang talaga ng pagiging professional niya. Basta ang importante, Mars, pinaglaban ka niya. Hindi ako makapagsalita. So, all this time, while I was thinking he was cold and heartless, he was actually fighting for me. In his own quiet, almost invisible way. Biglang nag-iba ang tingin ko sa kanya. Yung pader na nakikita ko, baka naman may maliliit na siwang pala, hindi ko lang napapansin. Bigla akong nakaramdam ng hiya. Hinusgahan ko siya agad. The next day, Basti came to visit. Excited na excited siya. May dala siyang drawing. Mama! Look! I made this for you and for Elias. It was a drawing of me, lying on a hospital bed, smiling. Beside me was a stick figure of Basti, also smiling. And on the other side, a taller stick figure wearing a doctor's coat and glasses, with a superhero cape flowing behind him. Nakasulat sa taas, Jintay Mama and her super doctor. Naiyak ako. Ang ganda, anak. Thank you. Sakto namang pumasok si Ithe Montemayor for his rounds. Medyo na-tense ako. Good morning, Yumrak Sandoval. Basti. He gave a small nod to Dinvaison. Basti, nevertheless, ran up to him. Elias. I have something for you. Montemayor looked a bit surprised when Basti handed him the drawing. He took it, his eyes scanning the colorful crayon marks. For a moment, I thought I saw his lips twitch, parang mag-smile. Pero ang bilis na wala. He looked at Basti. Thank you, Basti. This is very thoughtful. His voice was still formal, but there was a hint of something else there. Gentleness, maybe. You're Mama's super doctor. You're going to make her all better. Basti declared, full of childish conviction. Montemayor looked from the drawing to me, then back to Basti. He cleared his throat. I'll certainly do my best, Basti. Your mama is a very strong woman. He then looked at me, and for a split second, our eyes met. There was an intensity in his gaze that made my heart skip a beat. Parang may unspoken message. Pag-asa. Encouragement. Hindi ko sure. He then proceeded with his usual questions, checked the chart, and then, as he was about to leave, he paused. The drawing. I'll put it up in the office. Then he left. Si Basti, tuwang-tuwa. Ako naman, naiwang medyo tulala. He'll put it up in his office. Ang isang drawing ng anak ko. For a man who seemed so detached, that was unexpected. A small gesture, but it felt huge to me. Maybe Liza was right. Baka nga may tinatagong softness. The chemo sessions were brutal. May mga araw na gusto ko na lang sumuko. Ang sakit, ang hirap, ang pangit ng pakiramdam. One evening, I was feeling particularly awful. Wala akong makain, lahat sinusuka ko. Even the smell of hospital food made me want to gag. Si Ate Liza, nag-aalala na. Mars, kailangan mong kumain. Kahit konti lang. Ano bang gusto mo? Bibilhan kita sa labas. Umiling lang ako. Wala, ate. Ayoko. Naiiyak na naman ako. Ang hirap pala talagang magkasakit. Yung feeling na wala kang kontrol sa sarili mong katawan. Maya-maya, may kumatok. Isang nurse, si Nurse Jenny, isa sa mga mababait sa akin. May dala siyang maliit na paper bag. And Rack Sandoval, pinabibigay po, she said with a kind smile. Kanino galing, tanong ni Ate Liza. Sa isa po sa mga staff sa kitchen. Narinig daw po yata na nahihirapan kayong kumain. Paborito niyo raw po ito, Binuksan ni Ate Liza yung paper bag ng laki ang mata ko. Arroz caldo. Pero hindi yung typical na hospital arroz caldo. This one smelled different. Amoy luya, amoy toasted garlic, may itlog na maalat at chicharon bits pa sa ibabaw. It was exactly how I liked the arroz caldo. Yung version na laging niluluto ng nanay ko nung bata pa ako. Paano nalaman ng kitchen staff to? Wow, Mars. Mukhang masarap to sabi ni Ate Liza, inaamoy-amoy pa. Kumuha siya ng kutsara at sinubuan ako. Sige na, tikman mo. Baka ito, kayanin mo. Hesitantly, I took a small spoonful. Pagsubo ko parang may magic. Ang sarap. The warmth spread through Elv's chest, comforting and familiar. For the first time in days, I felt genuine desire to eat. Masarap ate, sabi ko, medyo garalgal ang boses. Sabi sa'yo Inubos ko yung maliit na bowl. It wasn't much, pero it felt like a feast. Salamat po, Nurse Jenny, sabi ko sa nurse na naghihintay pa rin pala. Pakisabi po dun sa nagbigay, maraming salamat. Nurse Jenny smiled. Walang anuman po, ma'am. Basta kumain po kayo. Then she winked, almost imperceptibly, bago lumabas. That wink. Nagtaka ako. Later that night, when Liza had stepped out to buy some water, I was replaying the arroz caldo incident in my mind. Paano nalaman ng kitchen staff? The only person might have mentioned Nana is arroz caldo too, in passing, during one of those initial interviews about the medical history and dietary restrictions, was. No, impossible. Pero that wink from Nurse Jenny. Could it be? Could the Elias Montemayor, the cold, serious, walang puso doctor, be the one who sent me the favorite comfort food? And then instructed the nurse to say it was from the kitchen staff. The thought made my cheeks flush. Kung totoo yun, bakit? Bakit niya gagawin yun? At bakit kailangang ilihim? Napahawak ako sa dibdib ko. May kung anong kumiliti. Isang maliit na paru-paro na biglang nagising. Kilig. Sa gitna ng cancer ko. Sa doktor ko pa? Ang weird. Pero hindi ko mapigilan. This doctor, who was supposed to be just a doctor, was slowly becoming more. He fought for my treatment. He acknowledged my son's drawing. And now, this arroz caldo. Mga maliliit na bagay. Pero sa sitwasyon ko ngayon, these small things felt like lifelines. They gave me hope. They made me feel seen. Cared for, even. Maybe he wasn't so heartless after all. Maybe, just maybe, Elias Montemayor had a heart, very well guarded one, but heart nonetheless. And that thought, more than any medicine, made me feel a little bit stronger, a little more determined to face whatever tomorrow would bring. Sino ka ba talaga, Elias Montemayor? At bakit bigla kang nagiging laman ng isip ko, hindi lang bilang doktor ko, kundi bilang? Ewan. Hindi ko pa alam. Pero alam kong may nag-iba na. The days after the arroz caldo incident felt different. Parang may nabago sa hangin sa pagitan namin ni AC Montemayor. Or baka ako lang yun, nag-i-imagine. Kasi siya, ganun pa rin. Professional, medyo distant, pero minsan, nahuhuli ko siyang nakatingin sa akin ng medyo matagal, na parang may gusto siyang sabihin pero hindi niya masabi. O baka naman, aasa na naman ako. Ang hirap. Ang hirap umasa lalo na sa sitwasyon kong to. The chemo was relentless. May mga araw na okay ako, may lakas, nakikipagbiruan pa kay Ate Liza at kay Basti. Pero may mga araw din na parang dinudurog ang buong katawan ko. Nagsusuka, nilalagnat, nang hihina. One particular night, the fever spiked. Mataas. Delirious na yata ako sa sobrang init. Si Ate Liza, hindi mapakali. Tawag siya ng tawag sa nurse. Ang taas ng lagnat mo, Mars. Teka, tatawag uli ako ng nurse. Narinig ko ang boses ni Ate Liza, parang nanggagaling sa malayo, maihalong panic. I was shivering uncontrollably despite the heat-consuming my body. Images flashed in my mind, si Basti, si Marco na tumalikod, yung puting peder ng hospital, tapos si E.K. Montemayor. His serious face, his intense eyes. Doctor, I mumbled, not even sure if I was making any sense. My throat was dry, my lips felt cracked. Mars? Anong doctor? Si Ate Liza ulit. Then, through the haze of fever, felt a cool hand on the forehead. It wasn't Aunt Liza's. This hand was bigger, firmer. Her temperature is 39.8. We need to bring it down. Get tepid sponge bath ready and prepare the AE paracetamol, a calm, familiar voice instructed. Montemayor. He was here. Bakit siya nandito? Gabi na Off-duty na dapat siya. Pero parang kumalma ang nanginginig kong katawan sa presence niya. Ang boses niya, kahit